king used to rule in some country. He had 12 princesses, whom he loved more than his life. This was the reason why the king was very concerned about the safety of all the princesses. Out of love and concern for the princesses, the king had made arrangements for all the princesses to sleep in the same room. After the king went to sleep, all the princesses were locked outside their rooms. Despite this, every night the princesses slept wearing new shoes, and the next morning their shoes were found worn and torn. Despite all the princesses staying in the room the whole night, it surprised even the king to find their shoes worn and torn the next day. The king made many efforts to find out this matter, but still the mystery could not be revealed as to why the princesses' new shoes were found torn and worn out every morning. To find out the truth about one thing, one day the king announced that whoever would give information about this secret of the princesses, the king would get him married to any one of his daughters of his choice. Along with the marriage, that person will also be made the king of the state in future. Hearing such announcement, many princes tried, but all failed. One day, a prince of a small country was passing through that kingdom. Old woman came there and started asking for food from the prince. Without thinking anything, the prince gave his food to the old woman. After having dinner, the old lady told him about the announcement of the kingdom, and while leaving, gave him a magic cloak. The special thing about that magical robe was that whoever wore it would disappear. After hearing the king's announcement, the prince reached the royal court with the magical robe. The king gave him a room next to the princesses to sleep, and good arrangements were made for his food and drink. When night fell, at bedtime the eldest princess brought a glass full of juice. The prince took the juice and the princess left from there. The prince did not drink the juice and threw it from the window. After some time he started pretending to sleep. When the princesses realized that the prince was asleep, all the princesses started preparing to go somewhere. As soon as the prince realized this, he put on his robe and started disappearing to keep an eye on all the princesses. Going to the princesses' room, the prince saw that all the princesses were dressed up and stood in a circle in the middle of the room and started humming something. Then suddenly a pit appeared in the middle of the room, from which all the princesses went to a magical place. The prince also followed the princesses. There were 12 princes waiting for him. All the princesses start going towards the forest with those princes. Silver trees, gold trees, and other jewel trees were found on the way. The prince would pluck one leaf from each tree and keep it with himself. After going some distance in the forest, a palace appeared. After going into the palace, a sweet music started playing there automatically. To the tune of that sweet music, all the princesses started dancing with the princes. The prince also started dancing to that tune. They all danced there till dawn and left before dawn. All the princes came outside the forest to leave the princesses, and the princesses came to their rooms from there. Along with the princesses, the prince wearing robe also came there and secretly went to his room. As soon as the morning came, the king called the prince in the court and asked about the secret. The prince narrated the entire incident of the night to the king, showing him gold and silver leaves plucked from the forest. When the king asked the princesses about this, all the princesses nodded in agreement. Hearing this, the king got the prince married to the princess of his choice and made him the king. After a few days, he went to that mysterious palace with the princesses and got other princesses married to those princes with whom they all went dancing at night. After this everyone started living happily.